Fellow Linuxians, since we had such a smashing success with Lab-05-01, I think we should go on and try Lab-05-02. Let's do that. And this is not the lab simulation, which I skipped over in Chapter 5 after that amazing experience I had in Chapter 4. And and this is Lab 5, but this is Week 6, so we'll see how we do. Thank you. Let's start the assignment now. And of course, I will start again. Yes, delete and start again. And so we look down here, and the first thing we do is we click Next to view that surprising lab technology that has a Windows Server machine on the same network with a CentOS server and an Ubuntu server. Now, we used the CentOS server last time. Let's see. This time we're going to use the Ubuntu server. So let's, and we're going to talk about partitions and the master boot record, the MBR. All these partitions are of the master boot record genre. And step one will be to open a terminal. And I think probably the first thing to do is to go to this machine and power it on. This is PLAB Linux 02. And it is powering up. And we're going to boot Ubuntu automatically here. I mean, I could hit enter at that point, but let's do all the automatic things we can. And it is booting. And let's see how we do here. Here comes a desk. Oh, look at that. We have an Ubuntu desktop. So I will right click. I will go down to Open in Terminal. And here we are. So step one is to create a terminal. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the partition editor, Parted. Now, you always wonder if in Debian they wouldn't call this departed. Get it? Departed, like the movie? Huh? Yeah? Okay. Sudo parted /dev/sda space u space s space p. And just so you know, I can't remember what the heck that means. But let's see. Oh, we're going to have to put in a password because we invoked sudo to run a privileged operation. So let's put in capital PASSW0RD, hit return, and the command runs, and you can see that the disk drive /dev/sda currently has one partition on it. The start sector is 2048, the end sector is 62, blah, 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 and so that makes the size blah, 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 blah. And it's a primary type partition. You know, there are primary, extended, and logical partitions. This is the ext4, very up-to-date Linux file system. That's the format and mechanisms built into the file system. And one of the things about ext4 is it advances this idea of journaling, which journaling means keeping track of changes to the file system so that you can do backups. Now, one can do a backup of the entire file system, but if you do that, let's say on Monday, by the next Monday, depending on how heavily the system is used, you may just back up all the changes that were made. Some people call that an incremental backup. And so file systems that journal can keep track of that sort of thing. They just remember the changes. And then, maybe the first of every month, you do a complete backup where you don't do the incrementals anymore. You just actually capture the entire file system state. Okay, so let's look over here. Here are our commands. U, an abbreviation for the unit command. So the unit is /dev/sda. S refers to the unit sector. This can be interchanged with the following: B, KIB, MIB, GIB, TIB, KB, MB, GB, TB, percent, or cylinders, CHS. I should know that. Compact, all right? P is an abbreviation for the print command, so that's what our USP did. P said, when you find out all this stuff, print it out for us, or at least show it on the screen. Okay, so we did that. Now let's, step 3, you can also list the partitions using the fdisk command. To list the partitions, enter the following command. So let's enter it. Sudo fdisk-l/dev/sda. Now, it didn't ask me to put in my password again because I had recently done a sudo command. So as long as you do these commands, one right after another, you won't get asked for your password again. And what we see here, using the fdisk command with a -l option, we listed the partitions that are on the /dev/sda unit or disk drive, and we see that /dev/sda is a partition that's on there. We can see where it starts. You can also see that it's partition number 1 up in this command. We can see where it starts and ends, how many sectors it is. The size is about 30 gig. The ID is 83 and the type is Linux. Great. Now they want us to clear the screen. And you can also list the partitions using fdisk. We just here we're going to go to a different unit. We're going to go to SDB. So let's do sudo fdisk. By the way, with commands like fdisk and parted, there's a GNU parted called gparted. These are serious commands. So this is where you want to be straight, slap in the face, sober, absolutely aware of what you're doing and careful about what you're typing. I mean, this is a system that can be reset and all that kind of stuff. But if you're working on a production system, you really want to be super careful what you're doing. So /dev /sdb, silent but deadly. All right, so we hit the enter command, and we get 2 partitions on device SDB. We get /dev/sdb1 and /dev/sdb2. So this sort of backs up what I was saying before, that when they have the number on them, those are partitions, and when they just have the unit name, like /dev/sdb, is a unit. And so we see it has 2 partitions on it. One starts at sector 2048. It ends here at 20 gazillion, whatever, blah blah blah, 567, and then in the very next block, the second partition starts, and it ends at the end of the disk. And so they're both in the 10 gig size, and they're both on the device 83 and Linux. Okay, great. Now, let's see what else they want us to do. They want us to clear the screen, so I'll do that. And they want me to do a sudo fdisk. Let's see, is that what I just did? Let's do that again. Sudo fdisk /dev/sdb changes will remain in. Okay, so now we're not listing anymore. In the previous thing, we did the -L, which is to list something. Now we're actually going to run fdisk over here. So it says changes will remain in memory only until you decide to write them. Be careful before using the write command. And that's what I was trying to get at, is once you do this stuff, data recovery becomes nigh unto impossible. All right. So if you want to see all we're in fdisk now. If you want to see all the commands, type M. And I think maybe it'd be useful to extend this down here, maybe extend this up a little bit. And you can see almost all the commands here. There are boot record commands, A, B, and C. Generic commands, miscellaneous commands, script commands, save and exit commands, and creating a new label commands. So let's see what they would like us to do. So we typed the M command and we saw that. To display the existing partition table, type P. So where's that? Generic up here, P. Print the partition table. So let's do it. P, enter. Boom. There's our 2 partitions we saw previously when we did an fdisk-L to list. There's the /dev/sdb1 partition and the /dev/sdb2 partition, and they are both residing on the /dev/sdb physical disk drive. So now we're going to do, currently the disk has 2 partitions and no free space. You will first delete a partition, then create a new partition. So we're going to do dangerous things here. So we're going to do the D command. And it says partition number 1 or 2. The default is 2. I think they have you just hit an enter here to use the default. No, they actually have you enter a 2. What am I looking at? There's a 2 there. Okay. Partition 2 has been deleted. Of course, this is in a memory kind of representation. So let's look at the partition table again. We'll hit P. There's only one partition. It's called /dev/sdb1, and it's the first 10 gig. So let's take a look at this. You will now create a new partition, so we're going to type N. And it'll ask us what kind of partition, a primary partition or an extended partition, which is a container for logical partitions. Remember, you can have up to 4 on a disk drive. You can have up to 3 primary and one. You can only have 1 extended partition in there, but you could have, depending on how many primaries you could have up to 3 logical partitions inside the extended partition. At any rate, it says partition type P for primary, and that's what they want us to use. The default is P, but let's just enter a P. Select partition number 2 through 4. We're going to use partition 2, I believe. Let's double check with what they're asking us to do. Partition 2. Okay. Now they said you can accept the default value as the first. Oh, wait a minute. They had us enter the 2. Now what are they saying? Note, you can enter any number here. However, it is suggested that you start the first sector of the disk to start with, else you waste this space. So they're asking us, they're telling us we could accept the default value. However, for this task, type 35, I think it's 6 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's type 35, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros, and hit enter. So that's the that was the first sector, and then for the last sector, you'll be. I think we'll just take the default there. And notice here it says you are prompted that the disk contains the ext4 signature. Type the following yes. I don't remember being prompted by anything like that. When I did 35 million up here, it just told me the last sector, and so I accepted it. Create a new partition 2 of type Linux and of size 3.3 GIB. So I'm not able to type the Y, but let's type W here. I mean, it didn't ask me for anything, so we'll type W to write this. Nope. Response is a little slow here. Okay, there we go. Command, let's write it. Oh, great. Now my keyboard is, or at least they think I'm just sending all sorts of carriage returns. Let's go up here. The partition table has been altered. Failed to remove partition 2 from the system, device or resource busy. So we get all these errors, and note that you're prompted with an error. This is because the device, the disk drive, dev SDB, is in use. Okay. So to verify that the new partition table is now created and there is a new partition on dev SDB, enter the following command. So I like that. They kind of tell you, yeah, you had an error because you couldn't do it, but now we're going to go see if it did it. So sudo fdisk-l, and we go down here, and it does it for all the different disks. And on this last disk is /dev/sdb. It's a 20 gig disk, and it shows that we have 2 partitions on there. /dev/sdb1 and /dev/sdb2, and it gives the stats for those. Now they want us to clear the screen, and they want us to use the GNU version of this thing called the G disk to create a GUID partition table. That's different than a memory boot record or memory block record. I forgot what it stands for. Sorry. So we're going to do a sudo gdisk/dev/sdb partition table MBR only, found in valid GPT and valid MBR, converting MBR to GTP format in memory. This operation is potentially destructive. Exit by typing Q if you don't want to convert your MBR partitions to GPT format. Remember, there's 2 kinds of partition formats, MBR and GPT. So, warning, secondary partition table overlaps the last partition table by 33 blocks. You'll need to delete this partition or resize it. Oh, that's fantastic. Another excellent lab. Notice they don't have the error. To create a new partition, type the following: N. Let's type new. Partition number 3. We're going to type a 3, just like they said. You'll be now asked for their first sector. Press enter to accept the default. We did. The last sector, press enter to accept the default. And now we have to define the GUID, and we're going to enter 8300. The command indicates that pressing enter with nothing entered will accept the suggested default of 8300. Not for us, baby. Okay, so on the next prompt, print the partitions with the P command. Well, look at that. 3 partitions. Isn't that great? Notice that the details of both the partitions created till now are listed. Both of the partitions created till now? Okay. Type the following to write the partitions back to the disk. We do a W. And it didn't write it because we have this overlap of blocks in the boot record. Confirm your choice, type Y. Well, we don't get to confirm our choice. Then type clear. No, I'm sorry. We have to quit first, right? We better quit here. Let's quit. You'll need to delete this partition or resize it in another utility. Aborting right at it. So I guess we get rid of partition 2. What the heck? Enter name. Fred. command for help. Well, let's try a W. Yeah, it's not going to fly. This is a poorly prepared lab. I'm so sorry. So now we're going to do a clear. We do a sudo fdisk-l. And SDB has just 2 partitions on it. So our third one didn't take. Theirs does have 3, you can tell on their screen. So now we do clear. And now we're going to do sudo umount /dev/sdb2. So we unmount that partition. We're going to create a swap partition on SDB2. So we're going to do a sudo mk-swap, make swap, /dev/sdb2. That's happy, I guess. Create various file systems. So we're going to clear the screen, and now we're going to create some file systems. So we're going to do sudo make file system -t. It's going to be of type ext3/dev/sdb2. And it says that it contains a swap partition. And I guess we're going to say yes. And now it's done whatever it's going to do. Verify the type of partition being used. Type the following command: sudo listblock -f. And SDB2 is of the ext3 file system. Okay. And that is it for this lab. So I'm going to do shutdown-h now. And I'm going to go take the quiz, which I think you'll find interesting. Okay. What is the number of MBR partitions contained in what is the number of MBR contained in a hard drive? I would say the maximum number is 4. Incorrect. Each hard disk contains 1 MBR partition. It is the first. Oh, I get it. I don't call the master boot record a that's what MBR is. I said memory before. Master boot record, I don't call it a partition. It's its own record. So I got that one wrong. The answer is 1. What is the maximum number of primary and extended partitions you can define on a hard drive? This is what I was thinking, is 4. Hey, got one right. Which command allows you to display the existing partitions on a disk? fdisk-l to list. Yay. When using the gdisk command, what is the default GUID used? It was 8300. Yep. How many partitions does GPT allow you to create on a disk? Oh, that's good. I think it's unlimited. And I was correct. And now we're done. And we can declare victory and leave this lab. And I think there was a lot of things in there that were questionable in terms of the way they said they were going to behave and the way they did behave. Don't worry about that. Most of the idea here is to think about what's a partition, what's a file system, what's a master boot record, and what's a GUID partition table, a GPT. Okay, so we'll be back with the next video, and you know, just because I'm kind of having to, well, I'm a doofus, let's face it, but it seems like there's a lot in these labs that don't act like the prepared script over in the left-hand side. But we'll just deal with it. Okay, take it easy, and we will see you next time.